The Revolutionary Guard thought they owned these waters, thought they could turn the world's most critical oil choke point into their personal toll booth. At 3:12 a.m., when their swarm of attack boats screamed toward an American destroyer, they were about to learn exactly how wrong they were. This wasn't some random skirmish. This was Iran's master plan, Operation Hormuz Gatekeeper, designed to seize absolute control over 20% of global oil flow. Tehran had been squeezed by sanctions until something had to snap. What snapped was restraint. And what happened next turned the Strait of Hormuz into a technological nightmare that rewrote the rules of naval warfare forever. Picture this scene. An Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, $2 billion worth of American engineering, sits in the darkness as its radar screen explodes with contacts, dozens of high-speed boats closing from multiple directions, 90 seconds until they reach rocket range, 90 seconds to decide whether this becomes an American graveyard or an Iranian funeral pyre. But here's what the Revolutionary Guard didn't know. That destroyer wasn't fighting blind. 25,000 feet overhead, a Boeing P-8 Poseidon had been watching everything. This maritime patrol aircraft had tracked mobile missile launchers breaking cover along the Iranian coast. It watched attack boats pour out of hidden coves like wasps from a disturbed nest. The Iranians thought they were launching a surprise attack. They were actually walking into the most sophisticated kill box ever constructed. The digital battlefield thickened into total information warfare. The Poseidon deployed sonar buoys across the strait, sensors originally designed for submarine hunting, but recalibrated to detect speedboat engines. Every Iranian vessel got pinpointed with surgical precision. This intelligence streamed instantly to every American asset through Link 16, the tactical network that turns individual ships into a coordinated killing machine. The fog of war just became crystal clear. At 3:35 a.m., the Americans drew first blood. A Seahawk helicopter hovering 8 kilometers out beyond machine gun range locked onto Iranian command vessels with laser precision. 2 Hellfire missiles dropped from weapon pylons, igniting trails of fire through the darkness. The command boats erupted in blazing fireballs. Without coordination, the Revolutionary Guard formation began dissolving into chaos. But Iran had prepared for exactly this moment. The counterattack was pure asymmetric genius. Hundreds of decoy drones launched from coastal caves, multiplying the destroyer's target count from 50 contacts to 500 flickering radar returns. Even the most advanced radar system on the planet struggled to classify real threats amid the electronic noise. Simultaneously, rocket launchers unleashed a barrage into the water around the destroyer, throwing up massive columns 15 meters high. A continuous curtain of salt spray and steam, turning the environment itself into a weapon. Remember that detail about technological superiority. Here's where it became crucial. At 3:47 a.m., when Iranian units achieved radar lock on the American fleet, the response was immediate and devastating. The destroyer's vertical launch system fired precision-guided missiles that arced toward the Iranian coast. Threatening rocket positions disappeared in sequential explosions. At the same moment, electronic warfare systems emitted concentrated energy beams that overwhelmed Iranian coastal radar networks, creating a temporary blind spot the Navy had been waiting to exploit. 2 A-10 Thunderbolts scrambled from Al Udeid Air Base, aircraft specifically trained for swarm-busting scenarios. Unlike supersonic fighters that scream through at Mach speeds, the A-10 maintains steady flight at 300 knots, low and patient. Combined with advanced targeting pods and night vision, it becomes the perfect predator for hunting scattered speedboats in dark water. These warthogs exploited the gap in Iranian defenses, weaving through limestone cliffs to stay below radar detection, emerging at just 30 meters altitude with wingtips nearly slicing through wavefoam. At 4 a.m., the sky transformed into a network of tracer fire and burning flares. American pilots strained under 7G turns just above the water surface, blood rushing to their feet as they evaded shoulder-fired missiles and suicide drones. They dropped chains of magnesium decoys burning at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, creating blinding flashes that reflected off the pitch-black sea. Then the GAU-8 Avenger cannon let loose. That distinctive roar drowning out ocean waves as 65 30mm depleted uranium rounds per second tore through everything, turning the speedboat fleet into flaming debris and spreading oil slicks. But the real trap was still waiting beneath the surface. At 4:10 a.m., sensors detected faint metallic signatures just inches above churning waves. Maham-class smart mines, sophisticated devices anchored to the seabed, designed to detonate when ships pass overhead. The destroyer found itself in a tactical pincer, move and risk catastrophic explosion from mines, stay put and get rammed by suicide boats designed for one purpose, accelerating to maximum speed and detonating on impact, slow death or instant annihilation. The captain authorized what military planners call the nuclear option of non-physical warfare. The ship's electronic warfare system activated at full power, unleashing high-intensity electromagnetic waves across the entire strait. The effect was immediate and devastating. Decoy drones, having lost GPS signals and command links, began falling like dead birds. Revolutionary Guard suicide boats lost all cohesion, pilots blinded as navigation screens displayed nothing but white static. Without central coordination, speedboats began colliding with each other in the darkness. As the electronic fog cleared, the ship's defensive perimeter contracted for final steel rain. The Phalanx close-in weapon system, nicknamed R2-D2 by the crew, began its automatic search and destroy cycle. Its radar locked onto any object moving faster than 20 knots within a 1.5-mile radius. The Vulcan cannon spat a continuous stream of tungsten rounds at 4,500 rounds per minute, shredding suicide torpedoes less than 500 meters from the hull. Simultaneously, the 5-inch naval gun fired airburst rounds programmed to detonate precisely 3 meters above water surface, creating deadly cones containing thousands of shrapnel fragments that swept away remaining speedboats. By 4:45 a.m., the destroyer transformed from prey to hunter. The Poseidon overhead used radar to see through gunfire and spray, pinpointing hidden missile silos and submarine bunkers carved into limestone cliffs. The A-10s returned carrying laser-guided bombs, striking cave entrances with absolute precision, triggering secondary explosions that collapsed secret bunkers and buried reserve forces under thousands of tons of rock and debris. At 5 a.m., the blockade was shattered. The destroyer advanced into the main shipping lane, asserting absolute control over waters littered with burning wreckage. Tehran's Hormuz gatekeeper operation had been systematically dismantled in less than 2 hours. The strategic advantage Iran hoped to secure, the power to hold global oil supply hostage, vanished into morning mist along with the smell of burning fiberglass and Revolutionary Guard ambitions. Here's the tactical lesson that should terrify military planners worldwide. If Iran had chosen stealth strategy, relying on secretly laying mines and staying hidden, they might have forced a grueling weeks-long mine-sweeping operation that stalled the global economy through uncertainty. But by choosing open aggression, they gave the Navy a clear target and turned the strait into a live fire range. Iran didn't just lose a naval battle, they lost their most powerful geopolitical asset through a single miscalculation. The Revolutionary Guard thought they were launching their masterstroke. Instead, they walked straight into a Pentagon trap that proved one undeniable truth. In modern naval warfare, the side with better information wins before the first shot is fired. And when that side also happens to possess the most advanced killing machines ever built, the result isn't a battle, it's a demonstration.